Is this one of the biggest economic cover-ups in U.S. history? Well, we're going to dig in and find out, along with other economic news that you need to know. So thank you for joining me. Hope you are doing well. I'm Ric Bender, and welcome to Finance Lab. Today, I want to cover some economic data that I believe you need to know. We'll look at the unemployment figures. We're going to be looking at some consumer spending. We'll look at housing market and prices are beginning to drop, as well as a story on the silver market. But before we get to those stories, I want to talk about the biggest economic cover-up and lie in U.S. history. Now, I need to be fully transparent. I don't know what the biggest one is. In fact, I challenge you to search with that question, either Google or AI. And what you will get is a massive list of economic cover-ups and lies, as you can imagine. I'm sure that didn't take you by surprise. But I wanted to talk about the biggest economic cover-up and lie that I see over and over and over again. Even from fairly intelligent and intelligent adults who simply cannot connect the dots because something's been so embedded in their brain and quite honestly deceived that they just can't figure it out. And that is debasement, devaluation, the erosion of purchasing power. Now, you may 100% understand what I just said, and I have to say, well, that's not what the masses understand. They understand and think prices are just going up because of greedy producers or greedy corporations. They don't understand that, well, the deception which began in '71 so clearly from President Nixon continues to today. People don't understand a basic, fundamental monetary financial truth that our money here in the U.S., because of the Federal Reserve putting new money into the system, commercial banks putting new money in the system, federal government putting new debt, state and local government new debt, that our money is being debased, being devalued. And a lot of people simply don't get it. In 1971, when President Nixon decoupled the dollar, he said to the American people, "Your dollar will be worth the same tomorrow as it is today." Now, that's a famous statement, and it's a famous lie, and it is an absolute lie. But the government doesn't want you to understand that money that you're working so hard for is, well, being stolen from you. It's theft. The more debt that the government creates, not only federal but state and local, the more money into the system from the Federal Reserve, the more enablement of this government debt. Well, this is devaluing our dollar, the dollar that you're working so hard for. Let me prove a point. Check out this chart. So let's say it is 2020. You go to the store, you have $100, you buy X amount of goods. In 2025, you buy those same goods, but now it costs $124.82. Why? Was it because the producers just wanted to charge more? They figured out they could get more? Or was it because the dollar is losing its value? The answer is purchasing power is eroding. You now need more money to buy less goods. And this, unfortunately, is not improving. It's getting worse. The fiat-based system for which we deal with is on its way to zero. And central banks around the globe understand this. This is why we're struggling here in the U.S. selling or monetizing our debt. Our debt, $32.7 trillion, continues to escalate. And when money is put into the system, this is inflationary. That's what you're told. Inflation, and this is what you know. But what's happening is purchasing power is eroding. We're being robbed, and I want you to see that. We're being robbed. This is why you need to take personal action to combat that theft. You need to convert some of your dollars to a store of value, which will help you maintain that value. And of course, we believe that's owning physical metals as a store of value. Gold is immune to government's spending, government's tactics of devaluation. It's proven throughout history. We need to understand, and you need to understand what's happening. It's not greedy corporations, though there are greedy corporations, yes. But it's not the producers are just charging more. It's because of the erosion of purchasing power, which your central bank and mine, the Federal Reserve, federal governments, debt, and state and local, they all play a role in this thing called the reduction or the erosion of purchasing power. And it affects all of us. It also affects business too, and this is what we're seeing right now. Year over year over year, this adds up. And when the economy gets tight and the erosion of purchasing power continues, business has to begin to cut. They have to cut their spending. Now, what we're looking at, as you see this indicator, we're looking at a leading indicator for unemployment. And this leading indicator is clearly suggesting the jobless rate will surpass 5% in the next few months. Right now, we're told it's in the 4s. But is it really? Is it far worse than what we're being told? What we know now from a recent survey is 11% of small business now see poor sales as their most important problem. That's the highest share of business reporting slow sales since the 2020 crisis. Now, we can see that in consumer spending. Check out this chart. This is consumer spending in terms of bars and restaurants. What we're looking at is July. Look at July. Significant slowdown in retail sales growth by restaurants and bars. 3-month average barely positive in July. The cost of goods and services are so elevated because the reduction, the erosion, the devaluation of the dollar. People simply can't spend. They don't have it. It's getting to the point where it's just gone too far. We had 41 plus years of inflation under the Biden administration. It all began, if you will, with Bernanke. Let's go back. Paul Volcker under the Reagan administration breaks inflation. We're in the 1980s and everybody's buying stocks and bonds and we're riding the wave. Remember the 80s? The prosperous 80s. Then the 2000s come along. Ben Bernanke, Fed chairman. Janet Yellen, Fed chairman. Jerome Powell, Fed chairman. Print, 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 print. Now we are paying this price. This is why it's so important to protect yourself from the unfettered spending that politicians have. I don't have a printing press, nor do you. But I protect myself. A portion of my investment portfolio is a store of value, which, by the way, has increased dramatically in its value. Because as purchasing power erodes, your value of your store of value will increase. Check this out. Consumers' buying conditions. Vehicles would be blue. Houses are orange. And in this chart, large household goods are white. This is a chart of August as we're looking at August. and we're seeing spending deteriorating. It is very difficult to make ends meet. Imagine all of your life's most important papers all in one place, organized and easy to find. Let me introduce you to the folio. Your passport, your birth certificate, bank statements, insurance policies, wills and trusts, brokerage account, passwords, and more. Your financial and your life's most important papers all in one place, organized and easy to find. Not only for you, but for loved ones when necessary. To learn more about the folio, click on the link in the description below under Resources today. And now we're finally seeing a little bit of reality come to the housing market. Check out this chart. This is as of June. Prices are coming down and Denver wins the award. Denver has the largest decrease of home listing price, 38.3%. Raleigh, North Carolina, Phoenix, Arizona, so on and so forth. So prices are beginning to come down in the housing market. This does not represent sales. This represents listing prices. Homes still aren't selling, but home owners and sellers are finally starting to wake up to the fact that they need to reduce the selling price. And lastly, I want to close with a silver story real quick. Here's what we see in open contracts in silver. Open contracts in silver represent 52 years worth of actual mine supply. At some point in time, this paper game is going to come down. I hope you're prepared. Thank you for joining me today. Hey, if you like what we're doing here and you haven't subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing to the channel. You may want to share this with a friend, especially one who can't get purchasing power eroding. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.